In today's Take of the Day, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers and why is it important for them to establish their identity in the preseason to prepare for the regular season. Now, before we get into that, though, please like, subscribe, also hit the notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. We put out content every day, so you won't miss any content here. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, the preseason starts tonight for the Clippers, and they go against the Denver Nuggets. Now, of course, I'm not sure if Paul George is going to play. I'm not sure if Reggie Jackson is going to get much playing time, or the main core guys are going to get much playing time, like the Marcus Morrises and people like that. But what I do want to see is the talent that the Clippers have. And I do want to see the young guys they drafted, that they picked up in the draft. And, I want to see Eric Bledsoe out there also getting his feet wet. And I want to see exactly how, Ty Lue is going to scope out the best talent on his team. Now, of course, we'll see players like Terrence Mann, I believe, and Luke Kennard and players like that. I do believe we'll see players like that as well. I'd be surprised if we don't. But at the same time, I do want to see those players out there. And I feel like, the Clippers preseason is more important than any other team's preseason. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at the Clippers, they're missing Kawhi Leonard, their main guy. So they're down a huge piece going into the season, and they know their backs are against the wall in regards to the media and a lot of other haters that they have out there, because without Kawhi Leonard, with Kawhi Leonard, it's you're a pretender. Without Kawhi Leonard, you're even more of a pretender in most people's eyes, or a lot of people's eyes outside of Clipper Nation. So to me, in tonight's game, I think it comes on 10 o'clock, going against the Nuggets, and going forward the next few preseason games, I want to see how Ty Lue is going to implement everybody in and see, scope out his talent, scope out the guys who he feel like he can trust going into the regular season. This is the reason why I say the Clippers need to establish an identity in the preseason that can help them prepare for the regular season, because the young players that they have, these guys are going to have to make a huge impact when the season starts, because Kawhi Leonard's not there, and you're trying to, and when you're trying to make up for a top 2, top 3 player like Kawhi Leonard, not only you got to make up for Kawhi Leonard's offense, but you also got to make up for his defense. So you have to find young players that's on your roster, that's on the bench, that's going to be able to come into games and play hard on defense and be able to knock down shots when called upon, because there's going to be a lot of that this season for the Clippers, because they can't just rely on the starters, because, Serge Ibaka's coming off back surgery, Paul George is, he's fine, and Marcus Morris said he was dealing with knee issues all last season and everything. Says he feels a lot better, this season. So, you had some ailments, some injuries there. And of course, Kawhi Leonard, you got some injuries and ailments on your team still, and you're still trying to plug players back in like Serge Ibaka, trying to get him back comfortable with the lineup and everything and comfortable playing again as he used to. So with that being said, you got to get the max out of your young guys. Your young guys have to be there. They have to be ready. They have to be available. They have to be ready to play, and they have to be ready to go out there and do what's necessary to help the team win. And I know a lot of young guys, to come into the league, they're looking at, being put in a position to go out there and play and just show their skills that they can actually play the game of basketball. But the young guys on the Clippers, not only that's what they have to do, but they have to come out there and have a winning mentality on this team, because they're gonna play a big role in what the Clippers are trying to do going forward. They're just not getting drafted to a team where it's like, oh, okay, I want to go out there and just show I can put up 20 points a game and get me a big paycheck. No, you're on a team that's win now mode. So you're on a team where you're gonna have to understand chemistry, camaraderie, and understand the playbook and how Ty Lue does things, because they want to win a championship. You're not on a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers where you come on the team and it's just, ball out as much as you can just to get a big contract, and then a few years later maybe try to go on a team to try to win a championship. No, you're on a team now where they're in win now mode and they have an opportunity to win. So every mistake, every little thing that you do wrong can cost them. And this is the reason why it's a lot of pressure on the young players that's coming in on the Clippers organization, especially because they're down their superstar and there's other players on the team that are suffering from ailments, and they need everybody to contribute just to make up for the number one superstar, because hopefully Paul George can carry the troops and do what he can till Kawhi comes back. But Paul George has a lot of slippages as well, which is the reason why a lot of people call him playoff P and all that stuff, because, Paul George can have his moments as well. But at the same time, if everybody contributes the way they're supposed to, I think the Clippers will be just fine. I think they'll at least be a playoff team. So when Kawhi Leonard comes back, they'll at least have a spot in the playoffs and they can go ahead and try to make a run. And I mean, hey, you got to look at it like this too. I mean, even though they definitely want to make the run and definitely want to, go far in the playoffs, they're asking a lot. The Clippers organization are asking a lot out of the young pieces. They're asking a lot out of Eric Bledsoe. They're asking a lot out of the bench mob, the bench crew that the Clippers have. They're asking a lot out of them. Even Terrence Mann, and Luke Kennard, it's different. It's different last season when Kawhi Leonard was around and Paul George was there. Everybody, everybody was, playing and everything like that. And everybody was in their natural position. But now this year, there might be some times where, Coach Ty Lue's going to ask some players to play out of position. Instead of Reggie Jackson playing the 2, he might have to play the 1, or instead of playing the 1, he might have to play the 2. And Paul George might have to go to the 4 position rather than play the 2 or 3 position. Things like that are going to be implemented this season, and everybody might be playing out of character for a while or out of position for a while, but everybody's going to have to get used to it. Even players like, Justice Winslow and players like that who are just coming in, they're going to have to play out of position at times, play out of their natural position, and maybe do other things they don't usually do. But they're going to have to make up for Kawhi Leonard defensively and offensively as much as they can. So every young player, every player that got drafted or every player that got traded or acquired by the Clippers this preseason, I think Ty Lue needs to put them out there so they can get a feel for the team and how, what their job is and what he's going to ask them to do and what's needed of them for them to get ahead in the regular season when the regular season starts. So in my personal opinion, with those things being said, I feel like the Clippers preseason for a lot of their players, or, I should say for some of their players anyway, some of their players to most, is going to be vitally important because, like I said, you're trying to make up for a superstar in Kawhi, but you're also trying to keep afloat with all the other teams in the West. And you're also trying to make sure that you solidify a spot in the Western Conference so you can be in the playoffs. Because I'm telling you, the Clippers don't want to find themselves being in a play-in tournament type situation. Hypothetically, if Kawhi Leonard comes back in March or April or something like that, and they're currently ranked as the 8th seed or 9th seed or something like that, which I don't think that's going to happen. But hypothetically, if it did, that would be putting a lot more pressure on Kawhi Leonard. That'd be putting a lot more pressure on the team. That would be, killing their hopes and dreams of, being solidified in the playoffs and making a run for a championship. You don't want to be in situations like that if all possible. But that's the reason why I said the Clippers preseason, with their young players and players they acquired, they need to play. They need to play, maybe not heavy minutes, but they need to play enough minutes to kind of get a feel for what Ty Lue needs out of them and get a feel for what their nights are going to be like every night going into the season, because it's going to be heavy minutes for some players who are not used to playing heavy minutes and who are not used to making an impact in a game, whereas now they're going to have to make an impact and they're going to have to try to keep afloat. I think me personally, I think the Clippers will be like the 5th or 6th seed going into the playoffs, even without, Kawhi Leonard. I think they can do that, but will they do it is another story, because you're relying on players who haven't stepped out of their box before. We like Terrence Mann, we really do, but has he ever played out of his box? Has he ever played out of his position? Has he ever played X amount of minutes during a regular season and came through with consistent points, came through with consistent defense? It's a whole lot different when you play off the bench and play several minutes in a game and make an impact 1 or 2 games or several games here and there, rather than doing it in an 82 game season and have to produce in the playoffs at a high level coming off the bench or whatever. They have certain players like him and Luke Kennard and maybe the other players doing. So we're going to have to see exactly how Ty Lue implements the lesson and how they're going to go about the season to all these players, how he's going to instill it in them, and how he's going to get the max out of all these players, because that's the only way it's going to work to solidify yourself in the playoffs and to put yourself in position to make a run when Kawhi Leonard comes back. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And Cali out.